to the DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Jason Gilbo, JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at tonight's 11-game slate on DraftKings. Looking at some hitters. Definitely some reasonable prices. I think a lot more than I expected as far as some of the matchups go.
Yeah, certainly a lot of ways to go. I'm excited that the Indians are facing a righty and under 20K for the first four bats, so that's always exciting for me.
Yeah, well, I know. I mean, as we mentioned on FanDuel, I mean, you've had this one circled for quite a few days.
For quite a few days, that's for sure.
First game here, you got the Pirates and Brewers, Jimmy Nelson versus Jameson Taillon. And as far as the Pirates go, I mean, this is very similar for me, but I don't like Polanco's price tag. I'm not going to write him off. I think he's more of a GPP play for the price, but he obviously has the matchup against Nelson that's solid.
Yeah, I totally agree. 5,300 is a lot, but I think you can fit him in a Pirate stack. Overall, though, I don't think I like him as a one-off,
Yeah, I think that's where I look to use him. I mean, Josh Bell is more of a one-off value for me. I mean, hasn't shown a ton of upside, but as far as getting on base, he's certainly there. And given that you got Syndergaard going tonight, you definitely want some options as far as value goes to open things up. And he's certainly a guy who does that.
Right, absolutely. So I think when you look at this lineup, it's just like I trust McCutchen in some sense, but not very much. I like this matchup for Polanco, but how much do I trust him? So I'm out on Josh Harrison, which means he'll probably hit a homer tonight, but I'm not going to be playing him. I like the 2 through 4 there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And as far as the Brewers go, yeah, there's only one guy I will throw in is Jonathan Villar at 4-1 in a GPP. Just given his stolen base upside, I mean, Taillon really hasn't been bad against lefties either. But he does have the lefty-righty matchup. It is something, especially with that speed that he has. I'll give him that, but that's about it for me.
Yeah, I agree. Certainly something to look at 4,100.
Phillies and Mets next here. This one, Jeremy Helix versus Noah Syndergaard. I think this one's pretty simple. As far as Phillies, I don't like the prices as far as guys that I do think have the shot at upside. Like Cesar Hernandez, who does have that stolen base threat, because Syndergaard is not good at holding guys on. But as I mentioned, you have to get on first.
Yeah, exactly. That's a hope and a prayer. Caesar gets an infield single, and then it's on. But going to be tough for the Phillies to get much going tonight. I like Syndergaard, so not much there. Easy
fade. Mets pricing pretty reasonable here. I mean,
again, yeah.
All their guys are remotely under 4K outside of Cespedes. Going up against Hellickson, obviously Hellickson is a guy. I would not be surprised to see them have a very average to mediocre game, but I also would not be surprised if I saw the Mets hang up a decent amount of runs on Hellickson, given that Hellickson really hasn't been great against lefties.
I'll tell you what, the last 2 days, the Mets have treated people well. Obviously, very different matchups those 2 days, but I'm certainly not against the lefties here, especially at those prices. The Granderson, Bruce, and then obviously Walker's the switch hitter there. So those three, I don't mind throwing Cespedes in there. Again, they've been crushing the last few days. So Jose Reyes as well. I like that. I like that front five there. I wouldn't do a full game stack, but I could see doing 3 guys from that grouping.
Yeah, it's nice value because, one, you can pair him up with a Syndergaard, and obviously you can grab another top-tier pitcher and still get a reasonable Met stack in there with other options to fit in. So price considered, I definitely don't mind them.
Right.
Padres and Marlins next here. I feel a little bit different on this one here on DraftKings because I feel like Ozuna and Prado are still in play, but they're not points per dollar wise that they're not my favorite duo. But I'm certainly not going to rule them out here against Richards. He's a guy you can certainly target against as far as right-handed bats. But obviously those are the only 2 I look to do that with.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at Prado, you look at Ozuna. I'm okay with those. This is just a little too rich for me. Like when you have a piece of cake and there's just too much frosting.
Yeah, and see,
it goes overboard.
I'm not a big cake guy.
So then you really know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I dig in. It's like, Jesus, I need a big cup of water after because it's like cheesecake, though. I'm all about the cheesecake, but yeah, regular cake, no.
when you get too much frosting and you're like, and you just there's like that whole half of just frosting left, and you're like, I can't eat that.
Sickening.
That's what's going on here with these prices. So it's just too much for me.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that. I mean, Ozuna and Prado, more of a GPP move here. I think you can maybe look at them in cash if you have that extra salary, if you're going that way in construction, but I don't see them kind of fitting into my cash lineups.
Yeah.
As far as the Padres go, I do like a couple of names here in GPPs. Obviously not the greatest ballpark, but a decent matchup against an inconsistent arena. Schimpf, Dickerson, Solarte, Myers, I definitely don't mind. Even a Jankowski at 4-1. You can toss in GPPs, just given that Urena hasn't really been good against lefties. 374 Woba since last year. That's it.
Yeah. Schimpf, Dickerson, Jankowski, certainly viable to take shots on, but I'm not diving in, like to the ball pit at Kid Sports.
I would hope you wouldn't be doing that anyway, because I think police would be called.
Imagine me like just going to Kids Sports today, like going and being like, all right, yeah, I want to pass, day pass, please.
But the funny thing is that like the police come up and they're like, geez, this is the second time this week.
Yeah, right. Oh man. All right, we gotta change this subject before yeah, all right, let's go.
Yeah, before people find you even more weirder. Royals and Red Sox here next. Two lefties, David Price versus Danny Duffy. This game is a giant GPP game for me. Obviously, you look at Duffy, who has really limited upside to hitters. He hasn't been a guy who gives big blow-up factors. He's also a guy who has a reasonable strikeout rate this year. But I can still see myself using a Pedroia, Bogarts, Betts, Ramirez type of deal there, especially with some of those price tags.
Yeah, no, I agree. Certainly intriguing. But overall, just a tournament game for me. And I don't know. Lorenzo Cain's okay at 4K against Price, but overall, I'm not rolling any Royals into cash.
No, I definitely agree. Cain's the only one who I'm really looking to use. Salvador Perez at 2,700, interesting punt option because of the price. But it's certainly not a good matchup for really either of these two teams, and I'm with you as far as just being kind of tournament only.
Right.
Angels and Tigers next here, and Michael Fulmer versus Brett Overholtzer. As far as Angels go, I still don't like them, even though they're cheaper. I still don't like the Mike Trout price tag. Calhoun and Pujols, I know they're cheap. Sure, you can make a case for him in GPPs as low-owned upside guys, but I'm not really looking to pick on Fulmer.
Yeah, agreed. I'm not looking to pick on Fulmer. Trout nicely priced up, so I can avoid him. If he gets that home run, that's fine. At 52, that's kind of just like hitting value for me. So I'll take the gamble he doesn't.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, Trout's at a point where you just want to kind of go and search off that upside somewhere else for a little bit cheaper.
Right. And you know what? Most nights it's okay to play him, but it's just you're really relying on him to really carry, your fantasy scoring for your bats. So I don't know. Tonight just doesn't seem like a night for me.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Not the most perfect matchup. I mean, I could certainly see it paying it off, but I rather search lower.
This is not like Jason Worth where I'm actually like saying to fade him. It's just I have to clarify this now. Yeah, Mike Trout's really good at baseball, you guys. It's really good.
Thanks, Russ, for that analysis.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Tigers here. I like some of these prices quite a bit. Nice mid-range options as far as Kinsler, Maben, and Upton go. Oberholzer is a guy you can certainly target against. 367 Woba to righties, 1.55 horns per nine since last year. I definitely feel fine with the Tiger stack. Obviously, Cabrera and JD Martinez are the ones you have to pay up for, but definitely ones I could see doing myself and kind of going that route.
Yep, absolutely. I love this Tigers team tonight. I think they're going to go off. So Cabrera, I mean, that's tough to do in cash, but I certainly like him in tournaments, and I love him in these Tiger stacks.
Yeah, I definitely do too. And whenever you're reaching over 5K, it starts to become a little bit hesitant unless you're going cheap at pitching.
It's really putting a lot of tension on the rest of your salary, but yeah, I mean, certainly worth a look at least.
Yeah, it definitely is. Mariners and White Sox next year, Jose Quintana versus Ariel Miranda. This one I felt I was just kind of limited towards as far as who I could use. As far as the Mariners go, I don't mind Franklin Gutierrez at 3,100 or Nelson Cruz at 45. But as we said, Quintana's not the biggest blow-up guy. Sure, you can get a couple righties to maybe hit a homer or two off of them, but that's really all you're looking for because I don't see much else from anywhere.
So, and again, yeah, I think you're just using them as leverage against Quintana. If you're completely fading, you don't like him, then I like those guys as leverage. Or if you do have a bunch of exposure, maybe you want to throw a few tournament lineups in there with Gutierrez and Cruz. But yeah, overall, not a lineup you want a lot of exposure to.
No, I don't think so either. And same thing with the White Sox. I'm a little bit hesitant that they're up over 4.5 runs. I'm not certainly buying that. I could see it paying off. Todd Frazier, Jose Abreu, I'm okay with. But as far as guys like Adam Eaton, Tim Anderson, Melky Cabrera, if he's in the lineup, I'm kind of fading there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I certainly like that. I like Abreu a little bit here. 4,500 is pretty reasonable for first base, so I'm okay with that. Tim Anderson, 42. That's a little out of my price range, I think.
Yeah, especially with what he's done, it hasn't been a ton, so I think that's one to certainly fade.
Right.
Raising Astros next year, Dallas Keuchel versus Blake Snell. Two lefties on the hill. I'll start with the Rays first because it's pretty simple with them. If you're looking to make a move in GPPs off of Keuchel, I think Logan Forsythe and Evan Longoria are certainly intriguing options.
Yep. Pretty straightforward there. We like Longoria quite a bit. We like Forsythe quite a bit. Again, I think they're more viable than what we just talked about with the Mariners. They're more than just leverage plays, but that is kind of what you're using them against. I'd imagine that Keuchel ownership's going to be pretty high. I like Longoria in pretty much all formats as sort of a standalone. Don't love this lineup as a whole, though.
No, definitely. Those are really the only two options. And on the Astros side, kind of some pricey bats. I think they fall more in terms of GPPs for me here. And they were kind of like that on FanDuel for me already, but I didn't mind maybe a one-off in cash. But the Gaddis price is a little up there. Bregman's still at a decent price at 4,100. And then obviously you're paying for Altuve and Springer, who have been the more consistent options against lefties.
Definitely. So I like that front four, that front five, really. I think you can fire off with them. And I mean, if you really think the Astros are going to get it going, I'm not even against, like the end of the lineup, I guess.
Yeah, because they're also cheap.
Right.
You okay over there?
Okay. So full disclosure, like I look down here, I don't know that there's necessarily a piece that I like personally. But if you really think this Astros team's going to get it going, then you kind of look at those 8-9 as sort of guys that you potentially want on base for a Springer or Bregman, So, and we've seen that in recent games where Hernandez sort of is on base when Springer and Bregman come up and kind of goes off there. So, interesting way to play it, but overall, I think you just stick to the front five.
Yeah, it's certainly a good point there, especially if you are in a big belief of the Astros tonight.
Right.
A's and Cardinals next here. Alex Reyes versus Zach Neal. Cardinals offense certainly intriguing, but three guys over 5K. I'm not quite sure I'm completely in on it at those prices. I can't see myself really paying up for the only one who I would pay up for is probably Carpenter. That's about it for me.
Yeah, I could see tournament stacks with those three involved, but you're really pushing it. They're gonna. I mean, they would basically each need to hit a home run for that to really pay off. So that's a tough task. But overall, certainly like this lineup, certainly like the matchup, and I mean, I'm certainly not against standalone plays for Moss and Carpenter.
No, definitely not. Not standalone, I'm certainly fine with because it is a little bit easier to accompany if you are paying down at pitcher a little bit. I think Carpenter is kind of a lone option if you are using a Syndergaard and wanting to get maybe a high price bat. But as we've been kind of saying, paying up over 5K, it does leave you a little bit limited if you go that route.
For sure.
As far as the A's go, Chris Davis, Stephen Vogt, two options that I feel okay using in GPPs. Vogt, a decent cash game catcher option just because he gives you a little bit of leeway as far as pricing goes. And obviously, Reyes is certainly a guy who you don't know what you're going to get out of him, making his kind of his first start here.
Chris Davis ownership tournament percentage tonight. What's your guess? 7%?
Yeah, 5 to 10, certainly in that range.
Yeah, I think that's good odds for him tonight. So I like that bet.
Yeah, definitely do too. And as we've been kind of on the A's like this, it's just those two and move on.
Yep.
Indians and Rangers next here. AJ Griffin versus Carlos Carrasco. And as we talked about earlier in the show, Indians are reasonably priced. Jason Kitten is 4,300, Lindor 4,400, Ramirez, Chisnell, Nyquin. Those are all decent price tags, and for me, all cash game viable against Griffin, who's struggled with lefties.
Right, absolutely. So I like this. I certainly think Indian stack is going to be chalky, and I'm going to be part of that chalk. I'm going to be, I got nothing.
Yeah, you're not diving into the ball pit on that one.
I got nothing, man. That's sometimes you just don't come up with anything, and
Yeah,
I like the Indians tonight. I like Naquin. I like Chisenhall if he's in the lineup. I mean, I think you've obviously fire away with Kipnis and Cash. So, yeah, love it.
Yep, I'm definitely with you there. And as far as Rangers go, same thing for me. I mean, if I'm going to go at them, it's going to be with the stack.
Right.
I can't see the one-off potential here. Although their prices are much more reasonable and a much more priced down, I guess you can make a case more for a one-off like an Odor or Beltran. But I think they're kind of just more as a stack. And it's also just a deep tournament play that hedge off of Carrasco, which I don't think many will do.
Agreed.
So Reds and Diamondbacks next year. This one I like quite a bit. I'm not expecting a small scoring game like last night. I think you can really target on both sides. And with the Reds, it's always pretty simple. 1 through 4 is kind of where you're looking at. And Golly's a guy who struggles with both sides of the play, pretty average. So priced up a little bit more here, but I still think they're in play.
Yeah, certainly in play. But I do like Votto Duvall. I think you can get a little weird with Billy Hamilton as well. So those are the guys I'm really looking strong at.
Yeah, definitely. And AJ Pollock, not the night we were hoping for in the return last night, but still pretty cheap at 3,200. Descafani, I mean, fairly tough on right-handers. 283 WOBA allowed, doesn't allow a ton of homers. You and I were both sort of in agreement where there certainly is upside still with this Diamondbacks offense, as there always is in Chase Field, but with Descafani being fairly tough on righties, it's not something I'm jumping all over at.
I kind of like Desclafani. Like, he's cool with me. He's proved himself enough to where I'm not like, oh, Reds pitcher, I'm targeting him. So certainly like Jake Lamb still. Certainly like Pollock as sort of that tournament, one-off still. Love the talent there. So other than that, though, I mean, might be a night to take off of Goldschmidt at 51. Pretty expensive.
Yeah, definitely green. If you want to get the splits against Desclafani, it's with lefties. I mean, 349 WOBA since 2015. Yeah. That puts Jake Lamb in play at 4,500 if you do want to get some exposure there.
Mm-hmm.
Next one here at the Braves and Giants, Jake Peavy versus Mike Foltynewicz. I like the Giants for some value tonight. I think they're cash game playable. Obviously, they're not, the most attractive offense at times, but I do like them in this matchup. Predicted for over 4.5 runs. Points per dollar considered. I think they're definitely cashing a while, especially those lefties.
Yeah, love Belt's price again. I think that's borderline cash for me, depending on where he ends up in the lineup. Same with Crawford, Panic. I mean, I love targeting the end of this lineup tonight. I think that's like a really weird way to go. Could get some low ownership and great matchups.
Yeah, definitely. And Buster Posey at 3,500, really solid value price for him there. So certainly okay with targeting them. And Span Pagan a little bit priced up still for me, but I still think they're in play as well.
Yep, I like the Giants tonight. There we go. I said it.
Goodness, hell is frozen over.
Yep.
As far as the Braves go, for me, I don't mind a Freddie Freeman at 4,600. I just kind of like him as GPP plays in Coyote, Markakis as well, Matt Kemp. I think it's just more of a tournament move for me.
Yeah, I agree. Certainly a tournament move for Freddie Freeman, but always love Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, how can you not, man? Friendly Freeman.
Against righties, at least.
Yeah, I mean, and PV, a guy who obviously has been in and out of the pen over the last few months, so nothing spectacular for the matchup. I think it's something they can definitely exploit.
And I mean, just throwing it out there, Freeman hasn't had less than 7 DK points in like 15 games. That's a pretty unreal streak of just not being bad.
Yeah, I mean, he's been, solid.
Obviously, you don't want seven points from Freddie Freeman, but if that's your floor, then you're looking pretty good at playing him at 46. You know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I believe his WOBA was close to 400 in the month of August. So, that shows kind of where he's been at as far as a standard of late.
Right.
That's going to wrap things up with the DraftKings Daily Trot. Be sure to check out DaveFantasyCafe.com for our great tools and content.